Superbike Heavyweight.
Well, welcome everybody, welcome. Here's a couple of first opening shots here at Daytona. We are just getting ready to rock and roll our very first race heading out on the grid. This is Jackie Van Ham and Jay McMacken in the booth with all of your play-by-play action and commentary for today. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Again, thanks for clicking, liking, and of course sharing these videos no matter where you are watching them out there on the internet. We are live here at Daytona International Speedway for AHRMA Classic Moto Fest. This is our very first race of the day. This is our CB 160 exhibition style race. Really fun class, Jay. Always a really good time to watch, right?
Absolutely. The Le Mans start's always a fan favorite.
Definitely a crowd pleaser. This is going to be that Le Mans style start. So there we go. You can get the big wide shot of the opening grid out there. And you've got all the bikes down there, all the people that are going to be holding those bikes for our racers. Making sure they've got their little bump start going. They have to run all the way across that track, Jay. They have to get a little bit of exercise. And I'm not going to lie, it is very sunny. It is quite warm here for all of our northern friends that are watching. I'm going to go ahead and rub it in about the spectacular weather, and away they go. Look at them run. Then they're all going to push, 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 and bump start those bikes. Woo! One of those bikes.
The green flag waves. There they go. The riders across the track working their way down into turn number one. Looks like one rider a little tough to get his bike to fire off as he pushes it off to the side, waiting for the next wave to take off here in just a moment.
All right. And it looks like everybody is out rocking and rolling out there. You can see in the center part of your screen. This is going to be, is this the International Horseshoe, this turn that they're going through right now, Jay? The International Horseshoe. The second wave now launching. You can see that on your grid, on your screen right now. Headed towards their first opportunity to get a quick little entry onto the lap. They're not quite on the high banks yet, but they're headed there, Jay, on those CB 160s.
Out on the track, looks like we've got a lead rider breaking away over through the West Horseshoe through turn number 5. Too far away to get the number, but we will get the full running order as they complete lap number 1 here in just a little bit. Everybody from the CB 160 field spreading out single file as the leader working his way through turn number 6 out into the West high banking here as he starts his first lap up through that I think it's 36-degree banking, if I recall right, as they work their way through NASCAR's turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, a little bit of a delayed start for the second wave as we had to clear one of the CB 160 riders, but the novice historic production lightweights and the pre-1940 class all cleanly away themselves as they work their way over through turn number 2, the international, or turn number 3 rather, the International Horseshoe, over through turn 4, the dog leg, and down into the West Horseshoe on turn number 5 as they've all spread out in single file. Meanwhile, race leader on the CB 160 working his way out of that high banks over to turn number 2, down the back straightaway into the bus stop and chicane here on the opening lap of this 4-lap race.
We've got everybody still working their way through the far side of the track. They're not quite over back to the backside yet. Very long track here, everybody. If you're just now tuning in, welcome. You're watching this AHRMA Classic MotoFest road race going on here today. We are at the legendary, the iconic Daytona International Speedway. A huge track.
Massively large track.
If you can't tell by the camera angles, this place is massive.
Race leader on bike number, can't get the bike number quite yet, as a CB 160 working his way down that long front straightaway through the tri-oval at the line. Looks like it's going to be, if I can get my race monitor to update properly, looks like it's we're still trying to get that lead number here as the second bike comes across. Looks like it's 022, Cindy Mclean first showing up out there, then Mitchell Barnes and Lex Robb. So I'm not sure if the leader's got his transponder on the bike or if it's just not picking it up yet, his race monitor didn't pick up the leader, but we'll make sure that gets updated here by the next lap. Then going down through 49L is Lex Robb, then 13K Rod Skaggs, 842 Tom Sanders, then 7S Mitchell Skaggs, then 122 Alex Mclean running up there. He's the unofficial leader for the pre-1940 on that class. Looks like 7S Mitch Skaggs is the unofficial leader for the novice historic production lightweight field. Then it's going to be 077 Kristen Baustert and X42 Jonathan Hollingsworth and the rest of the field as they work their way around to start lap number 2. Somebody call for announce.
The very last bike that started this race, did he start in from the pit?
All right, let's head back over towards that very first turn for race number 1 here, CB160 and pre-1940.
Looks like it's 784. Christopher Caden, he was my mystery leader out there as he got a rocket start. We've got the race monitor timing and scoring figured out. So Christopher Caden out front, 022 Cindy McLean solidly there in second with 820 Mitchell Barnes right there rounding out your top 3 as the rest of the field looks like everybody's seen lap number 1. Race leaders all the way over through NASCAR turn number 2 down the back straightaway one more time. The sun is brutal.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I just clicked over to the AHRMA page. We've got a bunch of you guys jumping on. Some familiar faces out there. I saw Mr. Mark Morrow tuning in. Welcome back, Mark Morrow. We miss you out here live and in person, but I'm glad you could join us out here on the internet.
Go for announce. Go for announce.
And it still is a little early here, so the sun is facing the wrong way. So I apologize. There's a lot of reflections and things in the cameras. They will be clearing up
Copy
by
that.
the second
Jason
part
Trang
of
to
the racing
registration.
program, which will be happening at noon. We do take a break at lunch from about 11 to noon. We take a break, so they will be cleared up by then. But you can see a couple little ghosts and things on your on my cameras.
Prang.
There's just not a lot I can do about it. Mr. Sunshine is gonna do what he's gonna do, and that's gonna put some reflections into the cameras.
Attention out there in the paddock. Looking for Jason Prang. Would you please report to registration again? Jason Prang, would you please report to registration? One more time. Jason Prang to registration, please. After that second lap, looks like bike number 784, Christopher Caden, still has a solid lead out there. 022 Cindy McLean, she's comfortably there in second. Looks like the battle is shaping up here for that third place podium step between 820 Mitchell Barnes, 7S Mitch Skaggs, and 122 Alex McLean. But actually, those guys are third in 160, leader novice historic production, and leader for pre-1940. Then you got to go back to sixth place to find that fourth place in class with 49L Lex Robb. And then rounding out your top 5 for the CB160, it's bike number 13K Rod Skaggs back there in the 8th position overall.
And Cindy McLean, one of our AHRMA family members out there, absolutely hauling the mail. Go get him, Cindy. I think they're in this middle section right now.
I got somebody on the high banking. Nope, there he is on the backstretch. Bike number 784, Christopher Caden, making it look easy as he rockets down that backstretch one more time as he comes up on the bus stop and the chicane. Then it's going to be bike number 022, Cindy McLean, off the banking there onto the back straightaway herself as she's got about a back straightaway distance between first and second, and about that same distance from second back to third, as we should be coming up on halfway. Actually, we should be on halfway right now, I believe, or that'll be coming out this next time by as leaders are working 3.
Welcome, Mr. Randy Hoffman. Thanks for tuning in. Christina Wilkinson, thanks for tuning in. Joe Fink, Rick Gould.
Attention out there in the paddock. Let's go first
And Dick
call.
Burdick.
First
Thanks for
call for
watching.
race number 2. Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Medium Weight, and Thruxton Cup and the Bears race. You guys will be up here shortly. It is first call. First call for race number 2. Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, Thruxton Cup and Bears. Let's go first call for race number 2.
Alrighty, we've got our leaders making their way around the last high bank turn. So let's go see where they're at.
There's the Daytona.
White flag out for your race leader, 784, Christopher Caden, as he starts his last lap. Then it looks like it's going to be 022, Cindy Mclean across the line. Actually, no, it's 122, her husband, Alex Mclean. And then it's going to be 022, Cindy Mclean. Alex is out there racing in the pre-1940 class. Cindy's holding on to the lead for the CB 160. Then it's going to be bike number 7S, Mitch Skaggs. He's leading for the Novice Historic Production class. Then 820, Mitchell Barnes rounds out your top 5. He's still holding on to that third place. Actually, it's 077, Kristen Boustard out there. She's leading for, well, she's holding on to second for the Novice Historic Production. Then it's 820, Mitch Barnes. He's holding on to third for the CB 160 as they all start their final lap.
How many laps is this race?
This one's 4. Most everything else is 6, except
Gotcha.
for race number 10. That goes back to a 4-lap. And I'm trying to figure out my timing for calls. I gave first just a moment ago. I'll give second when leader gets over here past the bus stop.
We'll see what's going on down on the straight right in front of us. As you can tell, this super steep angle. Just a fascinating track, huh, Jay?
Yeah, it's big. It is big.
I just mean, plus the banking is
Oh,
just
yeah.
super interesting. It's so steep.
34, 36 degrees, something like that. It's,
30 and some change. I remember
Yeah.
I took the tour a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
30 and some
I'm
change.
embarrassed that I don't know right off the top of my head.
And my GoPro camera has already overheated. Yep. Like I said, fans, thanks for tuning in. We are directly sitting right in front of the sun. Notice I have not turned the webcam on to look at us because we were both in the booth dripping sweat. It is very hot, very sunny, very beautiful here today. And it is also eating up my cameras a little bit. So hopefully at the noon session that will cool down enough to get that camera angle back up for you all.
Attention out in the paddock. Let's go second call. Let's go second call for race number 2. Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, Thruxton Cup, and Bears. You folks will be up here in just a moment. It is second call. Second call for race number 2. The Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, sponsored by Tim CBX and CBX International. The Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, presented by Moto Madcap. The Thruxton Cup Challenge presented by NOLA Riding Academy, and the Bears race sponsored by N3. You guys will be up in just a moment. It is second call for race number 2.
Christopher Akeden just crossing start, or I guess finish line, because starts over there. Finish line, crossing the finish line just now.
As the checkered flag waves, looks like 122. Alex Mclean takes the overall win and the unofficial win out there for the pre-1940 class. Then it's 784, Christopher Caden holding on to the top step for the CB 160s. Then 7S, Mitch Skaggs taking the unofficial win, rounding out your top 3 for the Novice Historic Production Lightweight. Then 022, Cindy Mclean coming home unofficially second in class for the CB 160. 077, Kristen Boustard coming home unofficially for the second place for the Novice Historic Production Lightweight. And then X42, Jonathan Hollingsworth rounding out your top 10, or out your top 6, as the checkered flag continues to wave on this one. Where's my last riders?
All right. What's next grid, Jay? So I can put the graphics up.
Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, Thruxton Cups, and Bears.
Actually, do you have that?
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Grab that.
Thanks, friend.
No problem. I'm sorry to be
No worries.
capitalizing on that one.
Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, next gen.
Attention out there in the paddock. Let's go third call. Third and final call for race number 2. The Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, sponsored by Tim CBX and CBX International. Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, sponsored by Moto Madcap. The Thruxton Cup Challenge, sponsored by NOLA Riding Academy. And the Bears Field, sponsored by N3 Racing. You folks will be up right now if you want to bring them on up. It is third call. Third and final call for race number 2. Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, Thruxton Cup Challenge, and Bears. You folks are up right now if you want to bring them on up. Third call for race number 2.
Thruxton. Bears. There you go.
Referee to control.
Go ahead, referee.
I heard Marcia tell you that there was no back-to-back, but I believe Jonathan Hollingsworth is in Next Gen Superbike Middleweight.
All
And
right.
if so, he's on the track now, and then he's going to be in race 2. You can check the grids, but I'm pretty sure he's out there.
Alrighty.
She should say did not have a report yet, not to go low.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, race fans, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. As promised, it's real sunny and real bright here, but absolutely spectacular. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know we got a lot of folks watching from the Midwest. I hope you guys are trying to stay warm out there. I saw there's an awful lot of snow going on, but absolutely no snow happening here, right, Jay? Absolutely gorgeous weather. Beautiful, beautiful 70s degrees. It's going to be 78 tomorrow. We're looking forward to a great 2 days of racing here. You're watching the AHRMA Classic Moto Fest here at the legendary, the iconic Daytona International Speedway. Classic historical motorcycle racing. There's going to be sidecars. We just had the CB160 exhibition race. All sorts of bikes happening all day long today. Today's program is going to run from, it started at about 10:15. It's going to run till about 11. We take a break for lunch. So I will shut down the camera then, and then we'll be back right at noon for the second half of today's race program, which will run from noon until about 5 p.m. This is all Eastern time. Of course, we're out here on the East Coast. Our next grids that are making their way on up, Mr. J, class number 2, Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, Thruxton Cup, and Bears. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you take a second, hit that share button, and share this with some of your friends that love watching awesome motorcycle racing. As promised, there's a little bit of interference with the sun going on with some of my cameras and things, but I will do my best to bring you all this racing action. So make sure you stay tuned and stick around. Now let's go back to the track, see what's going on down there trackside.
Third and final, third and final.
Once again, it is third and final call for race number 2. Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, Next Gen Medium Weight, Thruxton Cup Challenge, and the Bears race. You guys are up right now. Again, third and final call for Vintage Superbike Heavyweight, presented by Tim CBX and the CBX International Owners Club. Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, sponsored by Moto Madcap. Thruxton Cup Challenge, sponsored by NOLA Riding Academy, and the Bears, sponsored by N3. You guys are up right now. Third and final call for race number 2.
Race before lunch. Announced.
This is the last one for lunch.
Yes, if lunch is at 11, this will run this one and lunch.
Copy that.
Sarah copies.
Attention out there in the paddock. Also want to remind everybody, we were trying to get in 3 races before lunch, but we're not going to make it, so we're going to run this race number 2, and then we'll take our lunch break, and then after lunch break, we'll start off with races 3 through 13 and the rest of the afternoon. So just to let everybody know, after this race, we will be taking our lunch break and then run races 3 through 13 in the afternoon.
6 laps.
And this huge festival this weekend, Jay, not just road racing. There is vintage motocross happening
Yep.
today. There was vintage cross country yesterday.
Swap meet, flat track tonight.
Swap meet. There's flat track tonight. You nailed it here at the historic Daytona short track that's just on the backside of the track right here. So it's all sorts of great racing going on here over the next 2 days. So make sure you come on out.
As the racers take to the track, here's how they're going to grid up for race number 2. On row number 1, 179 Arthur Cowitz, 90D Darren Govin, 1P Jeremy Madrill, and 237 Matt Esterline. Row number 2, it's 142 George Hernandez, 422 John Litzy, 17R Ryan Modrian, then bike number 6B William Garman back on row number 3, 118 William Brent, W113 Warren Wilson, and then 045 Curtis Adams. On row number 4, it's 162 Alan Perry, and X72 Edward Berna, 202 Robert Ringalda. That's your field here for the Vintage Superbike Heavyweight presented by Tim's CBX and the CBX Owners Class. This class is, as we said, sponsored by that. Tim's CBX is an independent shop that specializes in Honda CBX 6-cylinder bikes. They sell parts and offer services for the CBX line only. They offer hundreds of OEM and custom parts to keep the Honda CBX on the road, and of course, they race one in Vintage Superbike Heavyweight. The International CBX Owners Association is the oldest Honda CBX club, and it's noteworthy that it's a single model motorcycle club. The Honda CBX 6-cylinder motorcycle was only produced for 4 years and still has a very popular following. Variety of machines up through the 1980 model year based on showroom stock bikes are out there. Race prep 4-cylinder Japanese bikes in the 900 to 1000 cc range can also be seen. Unlimited displacement pushrod triples such as Triumph Tridents and BSA Rocket 3s. Also unlimited displacement twins, which include BMW, Moto Guzzi, and Harley Davidson. And even the 6-cylinder Honda CBX can be seen in this class. For the Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, sponsored by Moto Madcap, on row number 6, it's X42 Jonathan Hollingsworth, 36T John Tunstall, 15G Sean Gilmore, 447 Peter Nicolosi. On row number 7, it's 700 Cameron Crockett, 936 Kurt Hoff, and 37A John Ashmead. And then row number 8, it's 204 Patrick Patriola. For the Next Gen Superbike Middleweight, this is sponsored again by Moto Madcap. This is a middleweight class showroom. This middleweight class showcases what was raced in the late 80s through the early 90s. It is limited to period modifications. Some of the eligible machines that you're going to see out there are the Ducati Passo, the Ducati 750 Sport, the Ducati 750 SS, Honda's CBR 600F and F2 models, Honda NSR 400s, the Kawasaki GPZ 600R through the 600E2 models. You can also see Moto Guzzi Le Mans 850s out there. The early model GSXR 600s and GSX 600s are also out there, along with the venerable RG 500 and RG 400s. For the Yamaha stable, you'll see FZR 600s and 400s with the hybrid FZR 600 frame, and even the RZ 500s can be seen out there. For the Thruxton Cup Challenge, back on row number 10, bike number 1A, Clint Austin, 099 Dale Dutch Vandenberg Jr., 51 Nathan Guy, and 851 Sean Guy. On row number 11, it's 09 Eugene Casario, 69A Murray Carl Estelle, and 69B Matthew Estelle. Row number 12, it's 76X Patrick McGraw, 129 Christian Kasbarian, 553 Paul Canali, and 55C Edward Blunt. Then on row number 13, it's 593 Dustin Fortich, and 044 Jonathan Devine. For the Thruxton Cup Challenge, it's sponsored by NOLA Racing Academy and Clint Austin. Clint, the owner of NOLA Racing Academy, won the Thruxton Cup Challenge in 2019 and in 2020. His other accomplishments in 2020 also included winning the Sound of Thunder singles, or 1 and Sound of Thunder 2, and Battle of the Twins 2 national championships. When not racing, Clint can be found teaching new riders to ride on both 2- and 3-wheeled motorcycles in New Orleans, Louisiana, and Gulfport, Mississippi. You may also find him wrenching or selling used motorcycles. Additionally, they are an authorized Arai helmet dealer, so if you're in need of a new Arai, tell Clint you're an AHRMA member to get a racer discount. This class is open to lightly modified Triumph Thruxtons and Harley-Davidson Sportsters. The Thruxtons are limited to air-cooled 865cc twins produced up through 2015. And for the Bears field, presented by N3 Racing, back on row number 15, you got bike number 1S, Daniel May, 995 Patrick Hansen, 731 Stan Keys, and 9A Rob Hall. The Bears class, which stands for British European American Racing Series, again is sponsored by N3. These are two-cylinder pushrod machines built up through 1968, competing under Formula 750 specifications. They must be representative of race bikes of the era with fairings and lower clip-on style handlebars. Brands typically represented including BMW, BSA, Harley-Davidson, Moto, Guzzi, and Triumph. That's your field here as the green flag waves to start the first wave down there, rocketing down into turn number 1. That's going to be your vintage Superbike heavyweight field. Then the second wave away cleanly as they rocket down that hot pit lane down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, the first wave already spreading themselves out single file over through the dog leg into turn number 5.
Jump the start. Where was the first group? Number 37. 37 Alpha. Put that.
That was a big class.
That was a very big grid. Four different races going on within this one race. It is the Thruxton Cup, Next Generation Superbike Middleweight, Bears, and Vintage Superbike Heavyweight.
Race leaders out of the turn number 6 onto, I believe it's the west end banking down there, as we got two riders breaking away from the field trying to work the draft down that long back straightaway into the bus stop and chicane as they accordion back up here in the opening laps. The top 3 now starting to accordion back up at the bus stop. We'll get the full running order for you in just a moment when they complete lap number 1.
Flag. We have a rider down in 3.
Oh.
Is there with them.
Alrighty, we've got our first group making their way. A GoPro magically came back to life.
5, Charlie. Thank you.
Where's he at? I don't even see him.
Alrighty, they're all coming off the high banks right now, all the way down to the far end of the track.
Well, attention out in the paddock. You can see we've had our first Crimson Adventure here of the day. So we're going to bring everybody back over here, and we'll let you know what's going on here in just a moment.
Well, we've got a red flag coming out for race number 2 for this afternoon. Pretty big grid, some pretty fast bikes.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
I don't know how technical I would consider this track, but you definitely have to pay a lot of attention to it with all these banking and all these, inside courses and things.
Yeah, I've been told by people that have raced here. Unfortunately, I've never got the chance to race here, but I've been told the gearing here is just very, very tricky.
Yeah. I think it's technical in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got everybody gridded back up, kind of down closer to where they were pitting in. And we are just waiting on race direction to find out what the word is, Jay.
That's right.
To find out what's happening out there. I didn't see anybody go off track. Maybe it was just a mechanical somewhere.
No, somebody over 3.
Oh, overshot. Maybe overshot that horseshoe.
Yeah, and you see where the flashy box is out there, so. While we have a moment, while we address this situation out here, we'd like to say thank you to Haggerty Insurance. Haggerty is the home for all bike lovers, helping you take your passion to the next level with Haggerty Drivers Club. motosportreg.com, vehicle values, world-class motorcycle insurance, and more. Get started today at Haggerty's.com. Also like to give a heartfelt thank you to Bridgestone. Bridgestone is proud to be the official tire for AHRMA. From road racing to motocross, Bridgestone has a wide range of tires to fit your vintage racing needs. Go see their full lineup at BridgestoneMotorcycleTires.com to see what they have available for your racing program. Once again, want to remind everybody that when we get this race going up, it'll be a 5-lap race, and then after that race, we will be at our lunch break, and then we'll start back up after lunch with races 3 through 13 to finish up the rest of the afternoon. I believe the swap meet's going on over there in the central part of the paddock area, and also later tonight, it's going to be the flat track event. I'll try and get the times for that a little later on this afternoon and put that out there for everybody, but a full day of racing as the vintage motocross group's also going on right now over at the Hay Farm / lot number 7. There's
This situation's going to take at least 10 minutes, and then we'll be at our lunch hour. Let's call lunch from 10:50 to 11:50,
Okay.
and resume afterwards. That sound good? Sounds perfect. Thank
Alrighty, it
you.
sounds like we just heard from race direction. It's going to be at least 10 minutes to clean up and get that situation sorted
Okay,
out.
sorry about the pause out there. Like I say, we've got the vintage motocross going on. You can catch the shuttles over there in and around the paddock area. I'm being told now that this situation is going to take a little longer for us to get addressed than we had anticipated. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to break for lunch. We're going to break for lunch from 10:50 to 11:50. And then at 11:50, we'll start back up with race number 2. We'll go send you guys back out for your 5 laps and go races 2 through 13 here the rest of the afternoon. So apologize for having to modify the schedule a little bit, but right now we are at lunch break. We'll be at lunch break from 10:50 through 11:50, just a little before noon. I'll start putting out the calls again, and we'll bring race number 2 back up. We'll get you guys finished. It will be a 5-lap race for race number 2. And then all the correct laps as advertised for the remaining races. The reason we're starting with race number 2 and doing 5 laps is obviously you guys have already got a lap out there because of the Crimson Adventure. So when we start back up, 11:50 with race number 2, and then we'll move on through the rest of the program.
All right, friends, as you just heard, it is going to take a little bit longer than they had anticipated to get that red flag situation sorted out. So we're just going to go ahead and just start lunch a little bit early today. So I'm going to go ahead and shut these cameras off, and we'll be back for the second half of the racing program. It'll be back in 1 hour at 11:50, so make sure you come on back. You are not going to want to miss it. We've got a whole afternoon of awesome racing going on. And again, you know, this isn't just road racing, although this is what I'm bringing you on the live stream. But if you are in the area, there is vintage cross country going on tonight. There is vintage short track, flat track racing. That's right, at the old Daytona track right here off of the backside of turn 3, if I remember that correctly. Haven't been there in a long time. They quit using that several years ago, but I think that's a really exciting, cool thing. I've seen Kenny Coolbeth race there. I've seen Nikki Hayden there. I've seen all sorts of legends race that track. So I'm really excited about that happening tonight. And then of course we have another entire day of racing going on tomorrow. And then yesterday was vintage cross country. They've already had their race already happen. But we'll be back in about 1 hour. So thank you. Do feel free to come on down and spectate with us if you are in the area. Here's the cool thing. This festival is totally thought out and connected. There's shuttles taking you all to all of these different things that are happening. So if you just want to come hang out with us on the infield here at the Daytona International Speedway, you can jump on a shuttle and go check out the motocross as well, and then just zip right back over here and catch some of this racing going on. But thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We will see you in 1 hour.